Hey there, fellow guitar people. Welcome back. Today I have an exciting lesson of one of my favorite things to do with guitar. It's changing strings. Not. Okay, let's get real. Not one of my favorite things to do about playing guitar. But I'll tell you this. When I put new strings on and I get it tuned up, maybe the second tuning so everything sounds good, I'm sure glad I did it. And it almost always gives me a little kick to want to play more guitar. And one thing's for sure, it is a lot easier, maybe even a little bit of fun, if you have all the right tools ready and you know what you're doing. So let's do this. Okay, I've got all my tools ready. I have some guitar polish. This is Music Nomad Guitar Detailer and Music Nomad F1 oil. Now I have the strings that I'm going to use. These are Dario custom lights. I usually use just regular light gauge, which starts with a 0.12, but these are 0.11, a little bit lighter. I want to try them out. And my favorite part, my automatic string winder. Yes, I love my tools. And of course, a lint-free cloth. I'm going to start off by loosening the strings. Now I'm going to use my string winder. This makes it a lot faster. And I got to make sure I get going the right direction. Now I just want to loosen them enough so when I cut the strings, they don't smack me in the face. Some people really like to change one string at a time to protect the guitar from the loss of tension all of a sudden. If this was a really expensive handmade guitar, I might consider that. But generally speaking, I prefer to take all the strings off at one time. I find the ability to clean the fretboard thoroughly during that time more advantageous than any problems with the neck, which I haven't had any problems yet. Now I'm going to clip the strings using a small tool. It's made for clipping guitar wires, but you can use any wire clipper. The nice thing about this is it has a little tool to pull out the pins. You'll see that in a minute. So I like to clip them up here. And then I'm going to pull the strings off here. I like to clip them up high because it's easier to get this part off than if there was a bunch of string hanging out. And now it's time to pull the pins out. Okay, be careful to hold on to these, you're going to need them. It's common for one of them to fall on the floor and to be looking for it later. Now it's time for a little polish. I'll start off with my detailer. Guitar polish, same thing, sounds better. Now the bridge, a small white piece of the guitar, fell out when I turned it over. This is not uncommon, but make sure you put it in the right way. It can go one of two ways. So one way to tell is that generally the higher end is going to go on the side with the thick strings. So I know the 6th string is going to go along here, so this is the higher end. The 6th string, the thicker strings, need a little more clearance. Also, there's a little indentation on the bridge right here, and that's to compensate for the 2nd string. It needs a little extra help. Okay, now I'm going to clean up the fretboard a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of my oil on the cloth, just a little bit, it goes a long ways, and spread it very thinly on the fretboard. I like to use a paper towel here often too, but since I have my cloth handy, I'll use this. And rub it into the fretboard. I'm after a light coating. And I don't want to get it on the rest of the guitar either. This both cleans the fretboard and conditions it with the oil so it doesn't crack easily. So I put just a few little drops and it's going to last the entire way. Let me get a little back here. There we go. Looking good. Now if my fretboard is really dirty, I might want to pull out just a little bit very fine steel wool and try to scrape off some of the stuff. But I've kept this pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to use a dry part to really get any excess oil off. Oh, I think I missed a headstock. A little dusty there. Okay. That's better. I think we're ready for new strings. The strings are color-coded on the ball ends. So it says the silver is the first string. Well, that makes sense. That's the thinnest string. We'll start there. First, I'm going to put the ball end in. I'm going to push the ball down with the end of the pin. Make sure the little groove on the pin is facing that way. Now stretch up to the top. I want the string to go through the hole. I want to leave a little slack because I need some room to wind around the peg. I know pretty well how much to cut off, but it might be a good idea to not cut anything until you've wound it. I've done this enough times, I know that I can cut approximately 3 to 4 inches, and that's going to be enough. So I'm going to go with what I'm used to. Then I'm going to back it up, crimp it slightly so it stays put, and start winding. Okay, looking good. I got a few more winds than I expected. I could have cut another inch or so off the string, but better to have a little more than too little. Now I'll go ahead and do the other 5 strings in the same way. Let's see. The second string is purple. I like to give the string a little yank to make sure it's up right close to the peg or underneath the peg, because if it's down low, once you start winding it, it'll slip sooner or later. So this way I know it won't slip. Okay, we're down to the last 6th string. You'll find that the thicker strings need a little less on the end because they're thicker and they wind a little easier. They also tend to stick a little better because they're rough. Now I have one beautiful strung and clean guitar. What I would do is tune it up roughly. I usually start with like the 6th string, get it in tune, and tune the other strings to it, then let it set for a while, sometimes even overnight. Then tune it again. That gives the strings time to stretch, so I'm not just going back and forth. Okay, I hope you found this helpful. If you'd like a written step-by-step list of all the steps, go over to my blog. I'll put a link, and we've outlined it for you so you don't have to keep going back to the video. Also, if you have more questions, me and my assistant made a great video. It's a live question and answer call about many different aspects about the acoustic guitar, mostly around maintenance and care. And I talk about what strings and different aspects of how to keep your guitar in good shape. I'll put a link to that also. You might find it helpful. Thanks for joining me. I'm Thomas Michaud from Real Guitar Success. I hope to see you again soon, either on my next YouTube video or come on over to Real Guitar Success and see what's going on there. Bye for now.